2 friends, 1 hiking trail, 77 desperate calls for help that never went through. What began as a dream volunteer trip to Panama ended in one of the most haunting, unsolved mysteries of the past decade. This is the story of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon and the jungle that took them. In March 2014, 2 young Dutch women arrived in Panama with their hearts full of hope and their minds set on making a difference. Kris Kremers, 21 years old, and Lisanne Froon, 22, were on a break from their university studies back in the Netherlands. They had enrolled in a 6-week volunteer program where they would work as social assistants in a small mountain community while improving their Spanish language skills. The adventure started exactly as planned. On March 15th, they landed in Panama City, ready to explore a new country and culture. For the first 2 weeks, they traveled around Panama, snapping photos, meeting locals, and soaking in the tropical landscape. On March 29th, they arrived in their final destination, Boquete, a picturesque mountain town nestled in the highlands of western Panama. There, they would stay with a local host family for the duration of their volunteer work. Everything seemed perfect, but just 3 days later, on April 1st, 2014, Kris and Lisanne would vanish without a trace, leaving behind only questions, theories, and haunting fragments of their final days. April 1st began like any other morning. Around 11 a.m., Kris and Lisanne said goodbye to their host family and set out for a day hike. Their destination was a trail called El Pianista, a well-known path that winds through the forests near the Baru volcano just outside Boquete. It was supposed to be a simple excursion, a chance to enjoy nature, take some photos, and return before dinner. But they never came back. As the sun set and darkness fell over the mountains, their host family began to worry. They waited, they checked their rooms, they asked neighbors. Nothing. When morning arrived on April 2nd with still no sign of the 2 women, the family contacted local authorities. Within hours, search parties were dispatched into the dense forests surrounding the trail. Police officers, volunteers, and emergency responders combed through the jungle, searching the base of the village and the woodland areas nearby. Days turned into a week, then 2 weeks. Despite extensive efforts, there was no trace of Kris or Lisanne. Desperate and heartbroken, both families flew from the Netherlands to Panama. They brought private investigators with them. Together with local police and trained search dogs, they launched an even more intensive search operation. But the jungle kept its secrets. Just as hope was beginning to fade, something changed. A local woman approached the police with a blue backpack. She claimed to have found it near a rice paddy along the banks of a river in the search area. When investigators opened that backpack, they found a window into the girls' final days, and it was deeply unsettling. Inside were 2 pairs of sunglasses, Lisanne's passport, 2 bras, a water bottle, $83 in cash, Lisanne's digital camera, and perhaps most importantly, both of their cell phones. The phones were immediately sent for forensic analysis, and what the technicians discovered was chilling. The devices had remained powered on and active for nearly 10 days after the women disappeared, and during that time, there had been 77 attempted calls to emergency services. 77! Some to Dutch emergency numbers, some to Panamanian 911. The call logs told a desperate story. The first 2 calls were placed just a few hours after Kris and Lisanne had started their hike on April 1st. But because of the thick jumbo canopy and mountainous terrain, the calls never connected. No signal, no help. Over the following days, the attempts continued. Again and again, they tried to reach someone, anyone. Out of 77 calls, only 1 briefly connected to 911, but after just 2 seconds, the line went dead. Then, on April 6th, something strange appeared in the phone records. There were multiple attempts to unlock Kris's phone, but the wrong PIN code was entered each time. Who was trying to unlock it? Was it Kris herself, disoriented and unable to remember, or was it someone else? By April 11th, both phones shut down for the final time. Their batteries had died, and with them, any chance of calling for help. But the cell phones weren't the only devices recovered. Lisanne's camera was also in the backpack, and when investigators reviewed the photos stored on it, they found images that would haunt the investigation for years to come. The early pictures were exactly what you'd expect from two friends on a hike: smiling faces, scenic views, selfies on the mountain trail near the Continental Divide. Everything looked normal, happy even. But then the photos took a dark turn. Between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. on April 8th, a series of images were taken in complete darkness. Over 90 photos, all captured in the dead of night, deep in the jungle. Most showed nothing but blackness, illuminated only by the camera's flash, but some revealed disturbing details: personal belongings scattered across rocks and mounds of dirt, a mirror, plastic bags, candy wrappers, bits of torn paper. And then, one photo that investigators believe shows the back of Kris's head, covered in what appears to be blood. What happened during those dark hours? Why were so many photos taken in rapid succession? Were they trying to use the flash as a signal, to light their way, or to document something? The camera couldn't answer. It could only show fragments, pieces of a puzzle that still doesn't fit together. In the same area where the backpack was found, searchers made another discovery: Kris's clothing, her denim shorts and her top, folded neatly and placed on a rock along the riverbank. Folded, not torn, not scattered, carefully arranged. 2 months later, in June 2014, investigators found something far grimmer: a human foot still in a boot, then a pelvic bone. In the weeks that followed, more remains were recovered from the same general area. Forensic testing confirmed they belonged to both Kris and Lisanne. The discoveries sparked intense debate. Some experts believed the evidence pointed to a tragic accident. Perhaps the women had become lost, disoriented in the jungle. Perhaps one of them had fallen and been injured. Unable to find their way back, they may have succumbed to exposure, dehydration, or their injuries. But others weren't convinced. The folded clothing, the nighttime photos, the failed pin attempts, the fact that some of the remains showed unusual damage, all of it raised suspicions of something darker, something deliberate. Panamanian authorities eventually ruled the deaths as accidental, attributing them to exposure and injuries sustained in the wilderness. But the families, along with independent investigators and researchers around the world, have never fully accepted that conclusion. There are too many unanswered questions, too many pieces that don't quite fit. To this day, what truly happened to Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon remains a mystery. Were they victims of a tragic accident in an unforgiving jungle, or was there something more sinister at play? We may never know for certain. What we do know is this: two young women, full of life and compassion, set out on an adventure that was supposed to bring them closer to the world. Instead, it took them from it. Their families continue to search for answers. Online communities analyze every photo, every phone log, every detail, hoping to uncover the truth. And the jungle remains silent. This case serves as a powerful reminder. Nature is beautiful, but it is also unforgiving. When we venture into the unknown, we must be prepared. Stay on marked trails, travel in groups, keep communication devices charged, and always let someone know where you're going. Kris and Lisanne's story is a tragedy, but it's also a testament to the bond of friendship, the courage to explore, and the enduring human desire to understand the mysteries that surround us. The disappearance of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon is one of the most debated unsolved cases in recent history. If this story moved you, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth explorations of true crime mysteries from around the world. What do you think happened on that trail? Do you believe it was an accident, or is there more to the story? Share your respectful thoughts in the comments below. And remember, when you venture into the wilderness, stay safe, stay prepared, and stay together. Thank you for listening. Until next time.